don't understand why this lens is always so messy. Oh, whatever. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here, Tropical Plant Party. How's everybody doing? Hope you're good. It's been almost a month since I repotted the orchids that I took back from the squirrels. The video is called like Squirrel Orchid Rescue or something along those lines. And then we had the horrible cold spell. We had an extremely cold brief. It was cold here for a little while, really, really cold. And I wanted to get in here and check out those orchids and see how they're recovering. Now it's been about a month. If you don't remember, what I did with them is I potted them up in various ways, and then I put them here on this table that I'm using as like a humidity table. There's water flowing through the table through a type of hydrostone. It's being siphoned out through the filter, so it's nice and clean water. Moves very slowly. The problem is that the water is still kind of cold. It's just barely at 60 degrees, so it's not ideal. I would prefer this water to be between 75 and 80. 68 at the absolute minimum for nutrient dissolving. That's a whole different thing. Real quick, let's go in here and see how these guys are doing. First off, I have this Dendrobium right here. I think there's another Dendrobium. There's another Dendrobium and two Epidendrums. And I can tell from far away, I know this one's doing well. And I mean, I've been looking at these guys and checking them out, trying to make sure that they're okay, but I want to go in and like have a nice close look and talk about them a little bit. There we go. This is the last one. This is the saddest looking one. Now, and the whole point of this humidity table was to create a nice moist environment, maybe hopefully not cause any type of rot, obviously. What I wanted to do here with this table was have a nice area that provided moist air around the roots of the plants without them actually sitting directly on that water. And having the water moving is going to help release more of the moisture into the air around them. And as we know, roots seek out moisture, so hopefully get those roots to start diving down. And the first thing I'm noticing here is there's condensation inside most of the pots. It's been about 2 days since I've watered these guys, so they're a little bit on the drier side, except for the two that are in the actual hydrostone. This is a pumice stone, and this is a bark mix that's just bark, lava, charcoal, a little bit of the pumice stone, lava, and there are some peat chunks in there as well. Now this is the one, this Dendrobium was one that basically had no roots on it at all, and there's also an Epidendrum like that as well. And I put holes in the sides of the pot, very large holes in the bottom, but it's slightly at an angle, so there's a small reservoir in there. If the roots of the plant were all the way down here, then I would not have this water sitting in there, not with this growing method. But like I said, it barely had any roots at all to speak of. This guy right here had a few more roots, but not enough to stabilize it. What I'm seeing with this one is the new growth looks okay. Now, I did have to bury this guy kind of low. I know that's kind of weird, but this pumice really wasn't holding much moisture, so I wasn't too worried about rot. And I'm not going to unpot this completely, because that would be counterproductive here. Orchids like stability within their structure. But I thought I'd just kind of pull some chunks out here to see what's going on down there. So it looks like there's algae on the roots, so it's going to be hard for me to say what is live and what is not. That's not very useful. I'm not terribly surprised by that. Yeah, those don't look like healthy roots to me. But I do see signs of new root growth down there and over here. Not sure if I'll be able to get it to focus in this artificial light, but there's new growth. So that's good. Ooh, focus please. I'm happy to see all of that. That's a very good sign. I went ahead and I pulled it up a little bit more because I think it's time. The roots that are left look good enough to me. So I think this one should be okay. Still a setback, obviously, but it's a sign of new growth. You know, it could be a last-ditch effort by the plant. But there was some action going on with some newer white root tips too, so that's great. This guy. Now this one had pretty much no root on it at all. What I was able to see though, I went ahead and I pulled the cut back a little bit. New root growth and new plant growth. So that is fantastic. And that is just about it as far as roots go on this particular plant. I mean, most of what's in there is not alive. And it's out of focus, but you can see there is a tiny hint of green down in here. More roots. Went ahead and put that back together. New roots, that's great. The canes, not looking so good. Okay, and this was the Epidendrum Lakeview Angel. An Epidendrum I was very attached to. And I'm not really seeing much going on here at all. When I dig down in here, I don't see any new roots. There is still some green along the growth, which is a good sign. And roots that have potential over here. They look like those are probably still healthy and taking up some water. But yeah, there's a tiny root tip down there. This guy was really like barely hanging on, so I don't have high hopes for it, but my fingers are still crossed because the Lakeview Angel Epidendrum is one of my favorites. So not seeing any great progress there. There are some cool little critters living in there though. Beneficial, nothing harmful. And then this Epidendrum. I know that this is a nasty looking orchid, but it is responding very well, very well to the humidity table. It has lots and lots and lots of roots coming out. I mean, just tons. And they are down in the bark as well. New growths popping up. A lot of new growths popping up. It's starting to behave like an epidendrum again. I'm so relieved by that. The new growth is coming out pretty healthy, slightly smaller. There's that setback there. Like I said, it was pretty cold here for a little while. So, you know, that's probably what that's about. And also it could have brought about the hinge of pinkish purple in there. That can also be magnesium deficiency as well. So I will make sure that this guy gets treated. I think that all this old, bad-looking foliage is going to be trumped out pretty quick. Ew. I think that that's going to be overshadowed pretty quickly by healthier new growth and overall new plants. And once these roots get a little bit bigger, I could, if I wanted to, focus. Once these roots get a little bit bigger, if I wanted to, I could go through and start sectioning them off and just repot this all together and start over completely, which I may end up doing. I'm not entirely certain at this point. I want to give this more time. But this is the one that I would say is responding the best, by far. Okay, but what I'm really curious about is what's happening inside the pot of this guy. If this were showing signs of, like, great root growth or comeback, I wouldn't unpot this. I would leave it be. So I want to have a closer look at what's going on below the growing medium. There are still a few viable roots in there. I would say this cane, though, that's stuck on there is probably not good, so I'm going to take that out. It looks like it attempted to put out some new roots, and they may have kind of blasted off during that cold snap. So what I'm thinking I might do here, I might actually bare root this guy for a little while, because then I can mist it on a regular occasion, keep a really wet environment around it without it being drenched, because it's on the cusp of rotting in certain areas. I need to cut these pieces of dead root off and clean it up a little bit. So that's what I'm going to try with this one. I don't want to fuss with it too much. Sometimes you can go overboard and, you know, get too hands-on and kill them. I don't want to do that. I'm not saying other people are doing them, I'm saying I tend to do that. I don't want to over-coddle them, because they need some space to breathe. Hey, and look at that. There's a blurry out-of-focus millipede in here, too. That's not great. I mean, they mostly eat decaying matter, but, you know, that means they're going to eat these roots. Even though they're already decaying, that's still munching happening. So, I don't know what I'm going to do with him, because he's kind of cute. I mean, he's gross, but in kind of a cute way, so, I mean, I'm not going to kill him. He can go live with my palm trees. That's what I will do with him. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do with this guy. I'm going to keep it on the edge of the humidity table over here where I can spray it very lightly, give it a very gentle mist multiple times a day, and create a humid environment around it to help encourage new root growth to pop out of the plant. I think that's going to work better. I don't think that this environment that it needs when it's this far behind. I'm not seeing any type of advancement, so I'm going to try something new, because it's been a month. Where are you going? Where are you going, dude? Oh, no. No, 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 no. Alright, so it almost crawled off the table and landed in my lap, so now I'm holding it. That's a different level of comfort that I didn't think I had with bugs. Oh, I don't like this. I'm going to consider this a growing opportunity. If this were a centipede, no way would this be happening. Oh my goodness, I need to moisturize. How dry my hands are. Alright, so I definitely have to keep him. I'm sorry that this isn't in focus, but I've become attached. He's now my little insect friend, so he can just come live in the dirt out here. There we go. You can be free. Go on, get off there. Alright, so now he's over there. There's probably thousands more of them. Really shouldn't be taking care of them, but what can I do? We bonded. We're friends now. And with this guy, like I said, for right now, I'll come over here and just set him on top of the moss. Nice and damp and moist. Keep a lot of wet air around him. Okay, so overall, I'm fairly satisfied with the results. It's only been about 3 weeks, maybe a month, since I potted these up and tried all this out. One thing I'll say that I know for sure is that using pots that aren't clear with this would work better because it wouldn't allow the light to go in, and then you'd, you know, the algae that's growing in there. At the same time, though, the roots have chlorophyll in them, and they can photosynthesize. So once they reach a certain length, and that's not all of them, but yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, sorry. I like them being clear so I can see what's going on. That's really what it comes down to for right now. But yeah, it is messy, and since these are so fragile because they barely have any roots on them, I can't just pull them out and clean that out. But I mean, it's alright, as long as that algae isn't covering the roots so heavily that it's gonna like suffocate them, then it's alright. This guy, I think I need to come over here and give his leaves a cleanup. Just don't want to mess with him too much right now because the new growth is still so delicate. So I'm going to hit this with magnesium fertilizer. Help build up its strength. So the next few waterings it's going to get magnesium and it's going to get silica. And probably potassium. I'm going to be supplementing these guys a lot, but in very small dosages. So like micro fertilizing or micro supplementation, that is. Now that there's actually roots showing up to take in those nutrients. But it's going to be very small dosages. I do not want to burn what tiny little baby roots are there. So this guy, meh. That one, I'm most impressed with what's happening there because I really thought this one was a goner. And the Epidendrum, I mean, I'm not shocked at all because it's an Epidendrum, but this is very encouraging, all of these roots. I mean, roots, roots, roots everywhere. Look at that. It is doing wonderfully. I'm so happy about that. Okay, but that's enough rambling. Just kind of going through the plants and exploring the pots and seeing what's been happening. Hope everybody's doing well. You can follow me on Snapchat, Trop Plant Party, Instagram, Tropical Plant Party, and Twitter, Tropical Plant JC. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. It helps the videos a lot. And subscribe. Like I said before, I hope everybody's doing well. And as always, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.